Will you please describe the film William Shakespeare?
Well, if you want me to describe my film, what I should do first, I should delve into the matter of William Shakespeare himself. Not my film. My film is also William Shakespeare, but William Shakespeare himself is the subject of my film. And this person, this gigantic, huge author, best author of the world, he has been the script writer of almost 2000, more than 2000 films. But he has been in no film which depicts him, except for a couple of films which you can say there's Shakespeare in Love and Anonymous. I'll go into that later. These two films are the only films which have him, the William Shakespeare, the person, as a character. And apart from them, most of the 2000 films which has William Shakespeare's name in it is the depiction of his plays and somewhat adaptation of his plays in many ways. So if my film has also William Shakespeare as a character, that means after Shakespeare in Love, after Anonymous, this is the third film which has William Shakespeare as a character. But what's the difference between my film and those films? First, let's go to the about Shakespeare in Love. In that film, Shakespeare is depicted in a single, just before, prior to writing his Romeo and Juliet, and I appreciate that film. That depicts Shakespeare in a good manner. But I have some differences about Anonymous. I have a great respect for the director of the film, Roland Emmerich. He is a great director, but in Anonymous, he could have portrayed a film which had a plot which was derogatory to Shakespeare. He could have done that. But apart from that, he himself made a teaser where he said that he pointed out 10 reasons why William Shakespeare is a fraud. What that means? That means that Roland Emmerich is not a director of a script of the film Anonymous. He also took a side.
মার্চে এই বছর
We are talking about Emmerich, yeah. Roland Emmerich. His film Anonymous depicts Shakespeare as a fool. But Shakespeare was no fool. I'm not going into that debate right now through my film, but I have great proofs that Shakespeare was Shakespeare himself. And in my film, I'm countering that viewpoint of Roland Emmerich. I'm countering that Shakespeare was Shakespeare and he was worthy of it. That's the viewpoint of my film. And now let's come to the technical points of my film, where how have I approached Shakespeare? In my film, it's an intellectual film, you can say. It's more or less an intellectual film. That's because in my film, the lay person who goes to the movie to see an entertainment film, he will get his entertainment. He may not be a scholar on Shakespeare, or he may have just ever heard of Shakespeare. That can also be, but he will get something from my film. He will take it as an entertaining film. But what about those who knows about Shakespeare? What about those who are Shakespeare scholars? They will also get something more from this film. And that's why, from the beginning, Shakespeare had 6 surviving signatures. Those are his only handwritings, apart from Sir Thomas More's Hand D. That's another play. But his own signatures are 6 surviving signatures of Shakespeare, and in those signatures, his W, I have watched it carefully, that his W has a special style, where he has rounded off the W, and he put it in the W. And I took it as a symbol. Maybe in these days, that was 400 years ago. But nowadays, the stars, when they give autographs, they distort their writings or something like that. They do a design on that and something like that. And my hunch is that Shakespeare also invented that thing, that he would write his W like that, and he would put the spot of the I inside the W. And what I did with it, I took it as the I of Shakespeare himself. I have put it in a philosophical approach. That means Shakespeare is the eye of the world, the eye of the literary world, the eye of the cultural world, and I am putting his eye literally into his signature, and that's my title shot. That's my title shot. So, when a lay person sees my film, he will enjoy that the close up of the eye, but when the scholar is seeing my film, he will think that yes, Shakespeare had 6 surviving signatures, and those signatures had that kind of W in it. The scholars will know that. Now let's come to the prologue. In the prologue, I have used a sonnet. But you all know that Shakespeare wrote about 154 sonnets. Only 154 sonnets. But in many of Shakespeare's sonnet books, the numbers are put in Roman numerals. In Roman numerals, everybody doesn't know Roman numerals, but in Roman numerals, it is up to 154. But in my film, I have used a style where I have put the Roman numeral on it. It's if who understands the language, he will see that it's actually written 2014, not 154. He has written only 154 sonnets, but my sonnet is numbered 2014. But as it's written in Roman numeral, who doesn't know Roman, he will think it's written by Shakespeare and somewhere in between the 154s. But I have put the Roman numeral, and the prologue, the first sonnet, which is based on his sonnet number 71. William Shakespeare's sonnet number 71, but my numbering is 2014 because my film starts in the year 2014. That's why I numbered it that way. And I'll give you a sample of it from that, where number 71, Shakespeare says, "No longer mourn for me when I am dead." I read you the first 4 lines. "No longer mourn for me when I am dead. The new shall hear the surly sullen bell. Give warning to the world that I am fled from this vile world with vilest worms to dwell." This is Shakespeare's line. He is telling to his lover that when he dies, don't mourn for me. That's his theme. But what I have done with it is in number 24, and I felt that no longer mourn for me when I am dead. I have kept the first 4 lines almost like Shakespeare. Slight changes there. No longer mourn for me when I am dead. Then you will hear the surly sullen bell. No longer when I am dead. The same thing. Give warning to the world that I am fled. I have done it. Give warning to the world that will have fled from this vile world with vilest worm to dwell. The same thing. Now let's go to the next 4 lines. There is I don't like this approach of William Shakespeare. In his sonnets, he was so submissive. He thinks that his poems nobody will read it. Everybody will forget. So better poets will come after him, and everybody will throw these poems out. But he's appealing to his lover that, please read my poems. Maybe that not for the style, but for your love. As you love me, these are the worst poems, please read my poems because you love me. But that's not the case. Shakespeare is still the greatest poet, and his poems are the greatest poems. But he took that approach. Maybe he didn't think that it will survive to this day. That's why he took that approach to his lover. But what I have done, I know that he has survived. He didn't know 400 years ago. I know that he has survived. That's why I am eulogizing him. I am making him the hero. So, if he wrote this poem, this sonnet 400 years later, today, how would he write it? He would have seen that everybody has remembered my poem, I am famous and I am the greatest. So, what would he have written today? In this, after these 4 lines, I have the next 4 lines I have changed from Shakespeare, but I have kept his rhythm is there. I have kept his rhythm. So what Shakespeare wrote in his from 4th to 8th line, he said that, nay, if you read this line, remember not the hand that writ it, for I love you so, that I in your sweet thoughts would be forgot. If thinking on me, then should make you woe. That means he is thinking that he will be forgotten. But what I have done with it, yet if you read this line, ever think not, the hand that writ it has gone forever so. Nay, I in world would never be forgot. You see that approach? I in world would never be forgot, even my bones and flesh surely will go back to earth. That means he is prophesying that he will come back. And the theme of my film is also that. In the 3rd act of my film, he is coming back. I'll go to that later. But so I have taken this approach. And in his 9th line he said, oh, if I say you look upon the verse, when I perhaps compounded am with clay, do not so much as my poor name rehearse, but let your love even with my life decay. But what I have said, saying that, back to earth methinks one day breaking cage. Lo, fate doth bring wheel round after 450 years in all the world stage. I have used the world stage here from that as you like it, but it's in the sonnet. And 50 years in all the world stage, where will is merely a player well bred. And after that, I've gone to the Romeo and Juliet sonnet. The Romeo and Juliet sonnet ends with about a scene, and what I say, thou art to be merry, happy and gay, to see what ensue in these scenes we lay. That means I am inviting the audience to see the scenes which will follow this prologue. And I have divided my film in 5 acts, as Shakespeare's plays were divided in 5 acts. And you will see in the title that Shakespeare himself is writing the 5 acts.
How does Galileo and Michelangelo come into this film?
I go into the 1st act. Then the episode of Michelangelo happens, where I have given it it's almost based on threadbare researches. Well, in 2014 actually is the year which is 450th anniversary of Shakespeare's birth, and also 450th anniversary of Galileo's birth also. And in that year, 2014 is the year which is the 450th anniversary of Michelangelo's death. That's why I have put all of these 3 characters in my film. Surely Shakespeare is the protagonist, he is the hero, but these other luminaries, they are also in this film with him. And as the dates are important in the film. Michelangelo died in 18th February. I was talking about Galileo. Galileo was born on the same year as William Shakespeare was born, 1564. Shakespeare was born on 23rd April and Galileo was born on 15th February. Anyhow, in my film, as they were born on the same year, I have brought both of them in the same year, 2014, just 450 years after their birth. And in my film, Michelangelo also dies in the same year, like that. So, I have, though it's a fiction, though my film is a fiction, it's a narrative fiction, but I have based my facts on, I have based my story on true facts. And apart from these, when Galileo and Shakespeare and Michelangelo, both interact. In my film, I have tried to convey some philosophy of them. You all know that Galileo was prosecuted by the church for his philosophy that he told that the earth moves around the sun, but though nobody knew it before, and only Copernicus had that idea, and Galileo supported the Copernican idea. So, but that is 450 years later. Nowadays everybody knows that the world moves around the sun. But who was the hindrance to that? Who was the hindrance to Galileo? The church. The church persecuted him for saying that. And these type of hindrances are still in the world. It persists even after 400 years later. And in my film there are some philosophies of that also, that we are still engulfed in that kind of primitivism, so that we couldn't advance, we couldn't progress because of these hindrances. So, as the philosophy is from Galileo, but the script is written by me, depicting my philosophy. I am juxtaposing my philosophy with Galileo's and Shakespeare's and Michelangelo's. So this gives my film another type of view, another type of approach. There's so many small, detailed, minute things in my film which are all based on researches. And if the audience gets that feel, and if the audience wants to enjoy my film, they will also be enlightened to enjoy my film. For example, you can see that this picture here. This is the portrait, the most famous portrait of Shakespeare, and the canvas portrait. And everybody knows the picture as this one. All the encyclopedias, and if you go to Google, you will see only the portrait of Shakespeare without any borders, without any frames. Why have I used this frame? Because from 1983, the National Portrait Gallery of London is using this frame. They made it from tortoise shell and something like that, but they're using this film. Why have I used it? Because my film is based on today. It was done on 1983. It was not done on Shakespeare time. It had two previous frames which were broken and due to the lapse of time. But the latest frame, it was put on it in 1983, and that's why I used it, so that I get an authenticity of Shakespeare in my film. So it's a small example. I can cite several examples of like that in my film. So that means my research is the entertainment part of the film is based on research, and I want the audience to understand about it. That's what I have to say in brief. I may mention something in other interviews about that later in some other interviews. So that's my story. To cut it short, I'd like to say that this film is an intellectual film and in the encyclopedic film on Shakespeare. If you want to know something about Shakespeare, if the encyclopedia is a book, but my film is a movie which is an encyclopedia on Shakespeare. Thank you.